All right, welcome to the Explainer. For over 2,000 years, science had this one fundamental rule. You can only break matter down so far before you hit a final unbreakable piece. But what if a text from 1,400 years ago knew something that science would take centuries to figure out? So, let's start with the word itself, atom. It comes from the ancient Greek word atomos, and that literally means uncuttable or indivisible. This wasn't just some catchy name. For centuries, this was a powerful statement about the nature of reality itself. It was, quite simply, the end of the line. For millennia, this idea of an uncuttable particle, it was considered settled science. So this question right here, this is the engine for our entire explainer today. What if that foundational 2,000-year-old rule was just wrong? Okay, so to really get why breaking this rule was so revolutionary, we first have to appreciate just how powerful it was. I mean, you really can't overstate how long this idea of an indivisible particle dominated human thought.
Check out this timeline. It's kind of wild when you think about it. We're talking about an idea that started with the Greek philosopher Democritus way back around 400 BC, and it just held on for over 2 millennia. Even when we get to the modern scientific era in the 1800s, John Dalton's atomic theory was built on the exact same foundation. The atom is just a tiny, solid, indivisible sphere.
So the crucial thing to get here is that this wasn't just a popular theory. This was scientific dogma. Our entire understanding of the physical world was built on this one single idea. To even suggest you could break an atom, that something smaller might exist, well, that was basically going against the entire foundation of physics. It was pure scientific heresy.
All right, let's switch gears, because smack in the middle of this era, when the indivisible atom was scientific law, a text from the 7th century makes this very specific and, frankly, very weird claim. And here it is. This quote from the Quran says, "Not absent from him is an atom's weight, or what is smaller than that, or greater." Now, the greater than part, that makes total sense, but did you catch that other part? A specific mention of a category for things smaller than that? Smaller than an atom? At a time when atom meant the smallest thing possible? That's odd.
And this is where the linguistic heart of the puzzle really is. The Arabic word used here is dharrah. Now, back in the 7th century, it just meant the absolute smallest thing you could possibly imagine. Like a speck of dust you see floating in a sunbeam, or maybe a tiny ant. But fast forward to today, and dharrah is the precise scientific term in modern Arabic for the atom. It's this direct linguistic bridge from the smallest thing they could imagine then to the fundamental particle we know now.
So let's be super clear about this. The text isn't just saying God knows about really small things. It's specifically setting up 3 distinct categories: the atom's weight, things greater than it, and, crucially, a whole separate classification for matter that was smaller than the smallest known unit of its time. It was actually claiming a realm of existence below what everyone thought was the absolute limit.
Okay, let's put a pin in that idea for a moment and jump forward, way forward, like more than 1,000 years. Now we get to see how science, on its own completely different path, just started to smash that old unbreakable idea to pieces.
And this whole demolition job happened in stages. First up, 1897, J.J. Thomson discovers the electron and boom, just like that, the atom has parts. It's not a solid ball after all. Then Ernest Rutherford finds the nucleus and reveals the atom is mostly empty space. But the journey didn't stop there. By 1964, physicists confirmed that even the particles inside the nucleus, the protons and neutrons, are themselves made of even smaller things called quarks. The indivisible just kept getting divided.
I mean, just look at this. Inside a single proton, it's not one solid thing. It's this chaotic, energetic dance. You've got up quarks, you've got down quarks, and then you've got gluons acting like this cosmic glue just holding the whole thing together. We are deep inside that realm, smaller than an atom.
So this brings us right to the core of it all. We have a 2,000-year-old scientific idea that turned out to be totally wrong, and a 1,400-year-old text that, well, seems to have gotten it right. So what do we do with that? There are really 2 main ways to look at the evidence.
Okay, so on one hand, you've got the skeptic's view. Dharrah just meant dust or ant, and saying smaller than that was just a figure of speech, a poetic way to say God knows everything no matter how tiny. But then, the counter-argument points out that the verse isn't just poetic, it's structural. It's creating these very specific categories. And to go against the universal logic of the time and explicitly claim there's a category smaller than the smallest, that was a really specific, really risky, and, as it turns out, a really accurate thing to say.
But, regardless of how you interpret the history here, that core impulse, that drive to challenge the idea of a final limit and just keep looking deeper, that is the very essence of what pushes modern science forward today.
And this is where we are now. These huge machines like the Large Hadron Collider at CERN are basically billion-dollar engines designed to do one thing: smash particles together to see what's inside. They are built specifically to explore that exact realm, the world smaller than that.
This quote just sums up the whole philosophical shift perfectly. For centuries, the dominant thinking drew a line in the sand: stop at the atom. But by including that one simple phrase, smaller than that, this ancient text suggested the journey was just getting started. It was basically saying, keep looking.
And that's what we want to leave you with. For 2,000 years, the atom was an indivisible certainty. We broke it. So it kind of makes you wonder, right? What ideas that we think are fundamental and unbreakable today are just waiting for their own smaller-than-that moment?